Start. Hello, hi, welcome back. So good evening. This is Krishnaveni, your biology faculty. So I can see a lot of you here. Priyanka, hi. Yes. Om Chaudhary, hi. Asraful, hi. Okay, so here we are on the last day of October on a warm winter evening. So here I am. So we are going to talk a lot about biology, and this is especially an English medium channel so that people from the southern part of India can also be accessible and also can bear the fruits of benefit of learning NEET topics. So you had physics class before. I hope you found it very interesting. So now we are here on talking about the platform of biology. So as I've told you, so join me with a lot of interesting stories. So I promise not to disappoint you anymore. Okay? Yes, hello. Okay, so shall we go forward and see what I have to tell you? So this is the first lecture, so please do like and subscribe our NEET English medium channel. So I am here teaching biology, so you can watch my videos every day from Monday to Saturday from 6:15 to 7:15. So we'll talk about all the stories of biology. So as NEET aspirants, so all of you must be so interested in biology compared to physics and chemistry, right? So I believe so, because biology never fails to fascinate us because it is a real thing. So it is actually happening in your body and my body, and that is biology, right? Okay. Now, let's go forward and talk about what I have to say. Okay, so before talking about the chapter, that is the cell, the unit of life, so we are going to begin with the superhero of biology. So before actually one wants to market their product, they only tell about the good things, right? Yes, so in biology also we have say 38 chapters which are very huge and humongous, and yes, certain concepts are tough, certain ones are pretty easy, and certain things you can correlate very easily. But our agenda is to make everything interesting and everything lively so that you don't have to forget anything. And here we are on this journey together. So to make your life successful, that is for you to clear NEET exam. Okay? Okay. So biology as NEET aspirant, so how do you feel biology is? So do you find biology interesting? Why do you find biology interesting? What makes you curious about biology? So is there anything specific as to what is making you curious to study biology? So I understand, because you want to be doctors, so you want to study about the liver function. So some of you want to be cardiologists, some of you want to be, say, nephrologists, say gynecologists, right? So what spiked the interest in you? What triggered your nerve to become doctors? So that very basic trigger or that very basic kindle is your interest and your love for the subject, right? And I'm sure it is only because of biology, right? So I'm sure a lot of students suffer with physics and chemistry because biology is comparatively easy. But at the same time, biology is not easy to score as well, right? Because you tend to have confusing questions, you tend to have twisted options, right? So what triggered your interest has to trigger you till the end for you to become successful. So I have seen people who had interest but now have lost interest. So that is not how you proceed forward. So when you have interest in a particular thing, so when you're very interested, when you're very curious, when you're really fascinated about something, so that has to fascinate you till the end, and that is your true interest. So I believe all of you here, so all the NEET aspirants right here are very fascinated to become doctors of future, right? So biology should never be boring for you. Even the boring chapters should be made interesting. So that is the agenda. So yes, I agree, there are some boring chapters which do not actually rekindle our interest, but chapters like biological classification need a lot of effort, so need a lot of concentration, so need a lot of focus for you to remember a lot of things. And of course, chapters like evolution actually do not catch your interest, right? But chapters like physiology, you have a lot to study, right? And it actually interests you because you're going to be physicians tomorrow. So you actually want to work on human physiology, so it interests you. But let me tell you guys, all the chapters of biology are interconnected. They are interdisciplined. Okay, so you cannot live without the environment. Can you live in isolation? You and I cannot live in isolation. So we depend on food for plants, right? So we don't get our food all. We can cook our food, but where do you get the raw materials from? If I had to make potato tonight, where do I get the potato from? Obviously from plants, right? So I cannot live alone. I have to coexist with a lot of beings. Even you have to coexist with everyone, right? So that is earth, that is life, and that is biology. So biology is everything around you, everything that is living around you, okay? The water, the earth, the land, so everything. So biology is one subject where you can easily correlate. Actually, it is happening. I am undoubtedly telling you, biology will never fail to fascinate you, and you will run short of words to appreciate the creator. So in physics and chemistry, you have new discoveries. So you can come up with new theories and logics. But in biology, you're actually studying what is already made, right? So you're going to study what is already there. So does it not fascinate you? You're studying what is already made, and that never fails to interest us. That never fails to rekindle us, right? So imagine if your body and my body does not work, you and I would not be normal, right? So I am talking to you. So I'm conscious enough. So I'm thinking. So I'm speaking. So all it's because my body is perfect. And you're listening to me. You're responding to me, right? That's because your body is normal too. Your body metabolism is normal. So all your body organs are working so perfectly. So that is because your body, that is your cell, is working perfectly fine. And that is what we are going to talk in biology. So don't lose your interest on certain topics. So I know people tend to skip a lot of chapters in biology. So please don't do. It's my humble advice. So all the chapters can be made interesting if you like something. So I wanted to just tell you, so biology is nothing but the story of life on earth. How first living organisms came onto the earth? How did they actually come into existence? How organisms evolve? So all of you know this common theory that we all came from monkeys, right? So did we actually come from monkeys? Maybe yes, because our behavior today, human behavior is so inhuman, right? So animals behave better than us. So that is true, but talking about the stark reality is different. But talking about the subject wise, we all evolved from our ancestors, right? So our ancestors are chimpanzees and apes. So thank you. So you people like my English? Okay, thank you. Okay. But this evolution, what has it got into us? So what is the impact of evolution today in our life? So what is evolution actually leading to? So you won't believe. So scientists were studying about the Ice Age fossils, and they found the different types of dog varieties that was living during that era. So imagine, so evolution is not the one that happened. We are still studying evolution. There's still a lot to know about your body and my body, okay? So each organ is different. You won't believe me, just 2 weeks back, a new organ was discovered. It was a new salivary organ that was discovered. So life came into existence. So human being came on earth to a lot of years, right? So some million years ago, human beings are existing. Your ancestors, my ancestors are existing for some millions of years. But still, we are still studying. We have not yet come to a point where we are completely done with studying the human beings. So each day, each minute never fails to fascinate us, and that is biology. So biology does not mean because you're doctors, you just want to study physiology. So trust me, if you want to be a complete successful being, at least a doctor, you should know all the aspects. So nothing is unique. Sorry, nothing is separate, right? So if you say I want to become a doctor, so I won't study physics and chemistry, then you're the loser. So everything has to coexist to play its harmonious role in life, okay? So basically, biology is the story of life on earth, and we are going to talk about each and every story and each and every aspect of the story. And remember, our agenda is to make the interesting chapters all the more interesting and the boring ones interesting as well. Okay? Yes. So here we move forward. So everything is biology, right? You smile and that's biology. You look like your mother, that is biology. You have a disease, that is biology. Can you differentiate which is not biology to me? According to me, everything in and around is biology. So I thought before I actually go into, yes, Priyanka, you're right. So the extra salivary gland is a new organ that is found. Okay, fine. Okay, so before we actually go into the topic, so instead of talking the cell, the unit of life, let me tell you something interesting about biology. So recently there was research which said, so people with a positive outlook has less memory decline. So let me put it this way. So you have a lot of terms to remember in biology. A lot of terms, okay? So you have your biological classification, you have evolution, so you have your human physiology to remember. You have a lot of things, right? But if you be happy, if you have a positive outlook, you won't forget things in an exam. So this is the broad term. So this is the generalized term, okay? So I'm putting it in a more precise way so that you kids can understand. So try to be always happy and enthusiastic. Try to be always cheerful, okay? So that you don't forget things in life. So you don't forget points in exams. Okay, so the more stressed your brain is, the more easily it can forget things. So if you want to make sure, because sometimes it happens in exams, right, that you so very well know this answer, but shit, yeah, that moment it's not coming. That is the biggest irritation one can ever have if you have worked really hard. So that is because you're not paying attention to yourself, you're not conscious of your lifestyle. Yes? Yes. Okay, so make sure you're all happy, you're all enthusiastic. So scientists call the one with a positive outlook is because the one who are happy and cheerful, so that is the, so those are the group of people, they call them with a positive outlook. So it has been proved that people with a positive outlook tend to have more memory. Okay, so their memory does not decline with age. So you have to be doctors, right? So doctors have to remember a lot of things. Every time you got look into the book and refer to, okay, so this is the problem, this is the treatment. So this is the drug. You cannot do that, right? So every time you have to be in check, you have to be updated, because practical example, let me talk about, suppose you're a doctor in a hospital and some drug that you have commonly been prescribing has been banned. So if you're not updated, then it's going to land you in a big trouble, right? So for doctors, it is always advised to be updated, right? So if you're more positive and energetic, more enthusiastic and cheerful, your memory will not decline with age. Okay, fine. So that's what I want to say. So let's start this huge journey with a positive outlook. So let's all be enthusiastic and cheerful, right? So make sure you watch my videos every day. So we go into a new journey, that is the story of life on earth, and that's biology. Okay. Okay, so are you all happy right now? So I know 2020 was basically lockdown, was full of lockdown. So we had January, so where we were all so enthusiastic about the new year. So I just remember celebrating the new year, and then what happened was the lockdown, right? So there was a meme also. So 2020 was January, quarantine, and 2021, right? Yes, so this quarantine had a very lot of impact, a very strong impact. Yes, hello, hello. Yes, so please join me quickly. So we are already 27 minutes into the lecture. Okay, so please join me quickly. Okay, so this lockdown has a very, very tremendous impact on your mental health, a lot of frustration. So in the initial days of lockdown, it was pretty exciting. So all our family members were together. So we had good food, we did all the housework, we cleaned our rooms, we did all our hobbies, everything was fine. But as it went on for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, the irritation, the frustration, the anxiety, the curiosity, oh my God, that is unbelievable. Everyone had to go through a suffering phase, right? It was damn challenging. So some people lost their lives, some people lost their jobs, not some people, many people lost their jobs, and schools were shut down, we were asked to go home. Oh my God, how long can you live in isolation? It's not possible, right? So this mental health had a tremendous impact on everyone. So even now, we are not able to meet in person. So we are having online classes. So this is entirely a new curriculum into the education system. Well, this was not common, right? So it was pretty tough for all of us to cope up with this. But still, we are going on, because nothing can hinder our studies. Nothing can hinder our learning process, right? So still we had exams. So still we have IPL going on, right? So certain things, if there's a will, there's a way. So it goes on like that. Okay. So right now, are you all happy? If you're not really happy, then let's see how you can make yourself happy. Okay. Okay, so I just want to know if all of you are happy right now. So without being happy, you cannot start a session with a full heart, right? So I just want to give you some tips that can make you happy. So if you're not really happy, if you're frustrated with a lot of things around you, you're frustrated sitting at home, you're frustrated listening to lecture after lecture, online lectures, just chill, okay? So your brain needs a lot of relaxation. Yes, I am back. So I didn't go anywhere, I'm back, okay? So this mental health is a big impact, just I told you. So burst the blues. So if you have any problem, if you have any frustration, try to break it, try to overcome it. So a fear is overcome only when you face it, right? So try to overcome the fear, try to burst the blues. That's called as, okay. So the next thing, so just look around you. Just look around you. Is your place, the place where you're sitting now, is it organized? Is it clean or is it dirty? Is it messy? So is it messy like this? If it's messy, just turn around and look it quickly. So there's a common psychological saying. So the place where you sit in or the table that you have for studying, if it is properly organized, it resembles your brain. It means your brain is perfectly organized, okay? If the table is messy, then it means that shows your brain's organization. Your brain is also messy, so you're so chaotic with a lot of thoughts, right? So make sure the place that you sit around is always clean. That helps you think better, okay? So the next thing is get yourself a gift. So buy anything, buy yourself a chocolate. So ultimately you need to be happy, right? So buy yourself a chocolate, buy yourself anything that you like just to make yourself happy. So this happy genes play a very important role in your brain. So as we go in our journey about the story of life on earth, and that's biology, I will tell you a lot about how your brain actually works. So what the genes are doing inside your body, okay? So next one, pick up a book, read a book. So nothing can be a good friend than a book. So books are the best companion one can ever have, okay? So someone says my room looks like the one in the image, okay? So make sure next time or tomorrow when you come from a lecture, you make it clean. So that shows your brain's organization is so. So make sure you change it, okay? So that is one good habit, okay? Fine. So that is about reading a book, fine. So the next thing, pet dogs. So it is recommended, highly recommended. So if you are in a stress position or if you are in a stress situation, it's always recommended to have dogs. But no, now don't go around asking your parents for a pet dog because that is too much to do. Just go, give some love to your stray dogs. Just feed 2-3 biscuits to your stray dogs. It is no harm, right? So ultimately they cannot also live in isolation. So we all have to coexist, and dogs are one good best companion that one can ever have to make you feel happy. Okay, fine. So the next one is about food. So food never fails to excite us, right? So food never fails to make us happy. So when you have a bowl full of healthy diet, ultimately your brain will never be sad. So always feed your brain properly, so it will never be sad. So it's basically a machine, right? If you talk in layman terms, it's basically a machine. So you are actually going to maintain it. So that maintenance depends on your lifestyle. So make sure you feed your brain good healthy carbs, good healthy proteins. Then definitely you will feel happy, you will feel energetic. So the more energy that you have, so the more better, more efficient you are, okay? And the last one is laugh out loud. So that's called LOL, right? LOL and Rolf. So laugh out loud. So play up a funny video, just laugh out. So watch your favorite movie, laugh loudly. So the more you laugh, the more the stress comes out of your brain. Okay, so being a biology faculty, so I thought I would share this because I want all of you to be happy. So every day we are meeting with the same smile and we are going on this journey together happily, and we are becoming successful in completing our syllabus. Okay, now going forward, so what are we going to talk about? So today's lecture is about the cell. So I told you, so the caption for today's lecture was the superhero of biology. So I just want to show you or introduce to you the hero. So I told you biology is story. So stories have villains, you have heroes, you have side players, everything, right? So our superhero today will be our cell. So every day our superhero will be something related to biology, and our heroes will be our scientists who gave this, who discovered us, who discovered it for us, so that now we will know what is happening inside our body. Okay, so we have players, you have villains. So villains in terms of cell is your pathogens. So they can be villains. So your villains change according to the chapter, as well as your heroes also change according to the chapter. Okay, fine? Fine. So we shall be talking about what is a cell. So what made the cell a superhero? So before you actually go into the subject, so always learn to ask the question how, when and why. Okay, so that is more important. So we are going to talk about the cell. So why it is so unique, why it is so special, and what makes it a superhero. Fine, cell theory. So we have some heroes, some scientists who proposed the cell theory for us. Okay, so let's see what they have to say for us and from what did they conclude. So what was their final ending? Okay, what was their observation? Then we'll talk about the overview of the cell. So what actually the cell contains. Fine. Then we'll talk about the prokaryotic world. So there are two things here, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So can you quickly tell me what is the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes here? So we are going to talk about the prokaryotic world and we are going to talk about the eukaryotic world. So in detail we are going to see both. So if you can quickly define what is prokaryote and what is eukaryote, so it will be pretty brilliant. Okay. Okay, so as you write the answer, I will read it out, but let me go to the next slide as of now. Okay. So now, can you tell me the difference between a living and non-living? For example, is this board living? Okay, so Priyanka says membrane-bound organelles. Okay, so that is for eukaryotes. So eukaryotes have membrane-bound organelles. Yes, right. Okay. So now tell me, what makes the cell unique? So what is the difference between you and the chair that you're sitting on? So your chair is non-living, right? And at the same time, you are living. So what differentiates between you and the chair? So how can you say the chair is non-living? How can you say this board is non-living? So what makes you say that? It's because you're breathing, right? So the chair does not breathe. So just because you're breathing and the chair does not breathe, you call it non-living and you are living. So what is the deep meaning inside it? So what is making you breathe? So who's acting in your body? Respiratory system. Okay, people say growth and reproduction. Okay, so they are also part of living. So they are also characteristics of your living organisms. Okay, I don't deny it. Yes, that was a good approach. Yes, hi Vinay. Rajiv says cell. Okay, so yes, so that is the answer that I am looking for. So what makes you living? So what makes you unique from the non-living things is your cell. Okay, so your cell is the ultimate player and cell is a superhero for today's lecture. Okay. So we are going to talk more about the cell. So it is basically, since you have cell, you are living. Okay. So consciousness, yes. So how do you feel conscious, Priyanka? You feel conscious only because you're able to respond, you're able to feel, right? So all that is because your cell is amazingly brilliant. It can perform so many tasks. So let's see, it is because you have cells and your cell is able to perform a lot of functions. You call it the superhero, right? And that is how you differentiate between living and non-living things. Fine. Okay, so the ultimate answer to our question for today, what makes an organism living, is cells. Okay, fine. So cell, so how do you define a cell? So cell is the basic unit of life. So that is how you define. You can also say it is the most fundamental unit of life. Okay. Your cell can be both unicellular or multicellular. So can you give me an example of a unicellular organism, or can you give me an example of a multicellular organism? Quick. So unicellular is a single celled organism, right? So multicellular example is you and me. We are all made up of a lot of cells, right? So can you roughly tell me what is the count of cells in our body? So we are made of hell number of cells because we are multicellular organism. So what do you think is the number of cells in your body? Can you quickly give me the count? And before that, can you give me an example of unicellular organism and a multicellular organism? So the lecture becomes interesting only when you interact. So quickly type in the answers. Okay, so Priyanka says bacteria is unicellular. Yes, right. So all your prokaryotes are unicellular. And okay, yes, you and I are multicellular, so we are eukaryotes. Okay, yes, fine. But there's one unicellular organism, there's one single cell organism which falls into the eukaryotic category. So what do you think is the eukaryotic category? So sorry, what do you think is the unicellular organism that falls into your eukaryotic category? So I mean to say there is one single celled organism. Okay, so let me write it. So there's one unicellular organism. So it is actually single cell, but it falls into your eukaryotic world. So sorry, not multicellular. It falls in your eukaryotic world. So do you have any idea what is that? So that is your yeast. This is very smart, huh? Your yeast is single cell, but the complexity of its genome is equivalent to that of humans. So your yeast is one exception, which is a unicellular, but it falls under the eukaryotic category. Okay, so remember this. Fine. So going forward, so this is the superhero that I was talking about, and hence the title for today's lecture. So definitely they are superheroes. So I will tell you why. So imagine, so cells form your tissues, right? So a group of cells form a tissue, and then tissues form organs, right? And organs make up the human body. So you and I are normally functioning, so there's no problem. So we are pretty cool about it. Okay. Imagine if a cell does not function, so as a result your tissue does not function, as a result your organ does not function, so you tend to be in hospital right now, right? Or you tend to be suffering from certain kind of disease. So if this small minute microscopic organism, living thing, does not work, imagine the chaos it can create in your body. Imagine the chaos it can create in your life. So I'm sure all of you would have seen a certain people with some disorders, right? So certain people are born with genetic disorders, certain people as life goes on, they have cancer, they are diagnosed with cancer. So what basically happens? Where is the root cause? The root cause is in the cell. So definitely if your cell is not working properly, you and I are not here. Okay, so definitely the superhero for all living organisms is the cell. Okay, so that is what I want to actually show you. So this is how your cell is neatly organized. So I told you, if your room is not clear, so if your surrounding place is not clear, it resembles your brain. But look how perfectly organized your cell is. It's pretty clean, right? You feel like walking into this house. So that is how perfectly organized it is, and it knows how to coordinate everyone. So imagine in your house you are 4-5 people, okay, and if there's no coordination, you quarrel every single day. So what kind of life are you running behind? So only where there is coordination, only where there is happiness, only when there is adjustment, only when there is understanding, we tend to live in peace, right? So the same thing with the cell. But a cell ensures there's a lot of coordination and there's a lot of understanding in between the organelles of your cell. Okay, fine. So going forward, so let's see if you can solve this. So since it's the first lecture, I didn't want to go more into the topic, but you will get my PPT as PDF in the eCareerPoint Learning app. So download that app, download my PPT and find the differences between both. It says find 10 differences between these two cell parties. So it basically, it's a biomeme, okay? So it says the cells are parting. Now you're going to tell me the difference between these two. So you can do it when you actually find my PPT in your app, okay? So just for this, download the app and download my PPT, okay? Fine. So now going forward, now it is the most important question. Why is your cell unique? So I have been talking so much, my hype was so much, okay? My hype was so much that I said cell is the superhero, cell does this, cell does that, and so many things about the cell. But why is the cell unique? How is the cell able to do it? Why it stands out of the others? What is the difference? So what makes it unique? What makes it special? So that is more important, right? So let's discuss why your cell is unique. What actually is unique in your cell? Okay, so your cell has a high degree of complexity. It has a high degree of chemical complexity, right? So every day a lot of chemical reactions happen inside your cell. So that is called as metabolism, right? So a lot of metabolism happens in your cell, and that is the high degree of chemical complexity, and your cell is microscopic. So if I just swab my skin, or if I just gently rub my skin, it means I am losing a lot of cells, right? So if I just rub my skin gently, it means I have cells coming out, right? So it is microscopic. You and I cannot see with the naked eye, but it's visible under the microscope. So being a microscopic organism, it has a high degree of chemical complexity, okay? And it has a system for extracting, transforming and using energy from the environment. So just like I told you, if I want to make potato today, if I want to cook potato, so I just have to go take potato from outside, right? But if I cook and have potato, my cell is way smart enough to take up the energy from the potato, right? So that is my second point, fine. And the third point is that it has a capacity for precise self-replication and self-assembly. So your cell is way faithful. It produces exact copies of itself to ensure the daughter cells are happy. Okay, so that is the reason why it is unique, fine. Then it has a mechanism of sensing and responding to alterations in your surroundings. Okay, so you can respond to surroundings, right? So if it's raining, you just won't go sit there for day and night. You know how to protect yourself. You know how to adapt yourself. So that is more important, right? So you are able to respond to the surrounding. You're able to give back your reply. So if the building is on fire, so what do? You don't just sit here, right? You just you respond to it, right? So that is more important. That is because your cell is capable of responding. For example, if you're going to hit the chair that you're sitting on, your chair will not respond. It will be as dumb as it is. So that is the difference between living and non-living. Okay, so the defined functions for each of their components. So your cell is not a single one, so it has a lot of organelles, it has a lot of members present inside this, and it ensures that there is a coordinated play between all the organelles, which ensures there's a harmonious interplay in the entire cell. Fine, so this is why your cell is pretty unique. So just like you have atoms in your chemistry and physics, so cell is called the molecular logic of biology. Okay, so without cell, there's nothing. So it's called the molecular logic of life. Okay, so now going forward and talking further about the cell theory. So we are actually into the chapter now. So here we have our heroes coming to picture. So our hero is the scientist. Okay, so Anton van Leeuwenhoek first saw and he described a live cell. So he saw and described the live cell under a microscope. So then comes the next scientist or the next hero, who is Robert Brown, who he later discovered the nucleus. Okay, so these are the two scientists, these are the two heroes who are going to play a role here. Apart from them, you have other scientists. So one is Schleiden. Okay, so Schleiden was a botanist. So botany deals with plants. So he read a lot about plant cells and he concluded saying that all plants are composed of different kinds of cells. Okay, and these cells form the tissues of the plant. Then there came another player, another hero. He's called a Swan. So he was a botanist and he was a zoologist. Okay, fine. So he read about animal cells and he spoke about the plasma membrane. Okay, so the plasma membrane is the delimiting layer of your cell which separates the contents of your cell from the cell membrane. So that is your plasma membrane. So that is what Swan told us. So together Schleiden and Swan, the SS theory or the cell theory you can call it. So they put forward the cell theory, but they failed in one aspect. So they forgot to tell us how, or they could not explain how the cells arise. So where did the cell come from in the first place? Then you can talk about what it is made of, how it is working, etc, etc. But how did it actually come? Okay, how it actually came? Okay, so Robert Brown was the one who found the nucleus. So Robert Hooke was the one who worked on a prokaryotic organism. So he helped in identifying the organism. Okay, Priyanka? Okay. So they failed to tell us how the cells came into picture. So then you have another player who's called as Rudolf Virchow. Okay, so Rudolf Virchow told us that cells came from pre-existing cells. So we have always been sure of this diagram, right? So mother cell giving rise to two daughter cells. So where did the new cell come from? From a pre-existing cell. So Rudolf was smart enough to give us this explanation and he put forward the modified cell theory that we are studying today. And what it says is that all living organisms are composed of cells and products of cells. You and I are made of cells and we are products of cells. Okay. And then all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Yes, so that is what Rudolf came up with. So these were the two postulates of your cell theory. Fine? Okay. So let me talk about the overview of a prokaryotic cell. So what actually is present in your prokaryotic cell? I think we'll stop with this because I don't want to get too much of saturation in the first class. So let's not go much into the concept. So let's have a light lecture today because it's a weekend and I know you're all tired since morning watching lecture after lecture. Okay, so let's stop with the slide and let's meet in the next lecture. We'll exactly talk about the cell and what function it has and what role it has. Fine. So overview of the cell. So I think all of you have seen the picture of a cell. So this is a eukaryotic cell and this is a prokaryotic cell. So how do you define a eukaryote? How do you define a prokaryote? In a scientific term, so you say your eukaryote has a well-defined nucleus. So you do not say your eukaryotes do not have nucleus or a prokaryote do not have nucleus. So you just say eukaryotes have well-defined nucleus and prokaryotes do not have a well-defined nucleus. Okay, so then comes the other differences. So this is how you define in layman terms. Okay, fine. So first we are going to talk about the nucleus. So your nucleus is present in both your prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In eukaryotes it is pretty organized. In prokaryotes it is not well organized. So it is scattered throughout your cytoplasm. So if you look at the cell only you can tell, right? So this is pretty organized. So it has a lot of members inside it. This does not have a lot of members and it is scattered. Okay. So that is the prokaryote and that is eukaryote. Fine. Okay. So in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes you have a fluid matrix that is called as cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is the fluid content inside your cell. Fine. So that occupies the volume of the cell. So your cytoplasm and your plasma membrane, they are not same. Cytoplasm occupies the volume of the cell. So that is the fluid content of your cell. But plasma membrane on the other hand is the one which separates your cytoplasm from the cell membrane. Okay. Is this clear? Fine. Okay, so eukaryotes have a membrane-bound distinct structure. So this is specific to eukaryotes. They have a membrane-bound distinct structures and those are called as organelles. Okay, fine. Prokaryotes lack these organelles and that's why it looks so empty and that's why your eukaryotes have so much of organelles present in because they have membrane-bound structures present within them. Then ribosomes. So ribosomes are non-membrane-bound organelles. So they are non-membrane bound, meaning they are not surrounded by a membrane, but at the same time it is present in both eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Okay, So how to, okay, so there's a question and I don't get the question. Can you retype the question again? Okay. So basically I mean to say your prokaryotes do not have organelles which are membrane bound. Your eukaryotes have membrane bound organelles, okay. And at the same time, there is one non-membrane bound organelle called ribosomes that is present in your both prokaryotes and your eukaryotes, okay. So ribosomes are very essential. They are very, very important because they are needed in your protein productions. They are needed for your protein translation. They are needed for your protein production, okay. So your central dogma of life. So before we talk about central dogma of life, let me tell you the ultimate objective, the ultimate, the final, the grand end of your cell of why it is working so hard is to produce proteins. So that protein production is very essential and that's why your cell, your body is functioning not. Okay. So for that protein production, you need this hero. So this is called ribosomes. We'll be talking about ribosomes in much detail. Fine. So animal cells contain another non-membrane bound organelle. So that is called centrosome. So remember, ribosomes are common to both, okay, prokaryotes and eukaryotes, but this centrosome is specific only to your animal cells. They are not present in your bacterial cells. Fine. So are we clear with the overview of prokaryotes? So shall we go forward? Okay, so let me finish this. So we have different shapes of cells. So cells greatly vary in size, shape and activity. So the cells of your brain, the cells of your heart, they are not the same. They look different. They have different activity. They have different size and shape. Fine. Okay, so this is your mycoplasma. So this is the smallest cell on earth that you can ever find. So it has a diameter of 0.3 micrometer. So imagine how small, how minute it can be. Okay. Then this is your RBC. So RBCs are present in your body and my body. So they are your red blood cells. So look how it looks. So they do not look similar, right? And then this is your neurons. They are the longest cells of your body. They are the cells of your brain. So look at how diverse they are. The shapes are not the same. The size is not the same. And so the activity is also not the same. Not the same. Fine. And what is this? So this is an ostrich. So this has the largest single cell egg. Okay. Fine. So this is about different shapes of the cell. Fine. So what do I have next? So next I have shapes of bacteria. So just like your body has different types of cells, different shapes of cells, even bacteria has different shapes of cells. So the first one is the 4 basic shapes of bacteria. So let's see what are the 4 basic shapes. The first one is bacillus. So bacillus is rod shaped. So rod is basically like this, right? Right? Then you have coccus. So coccus is spiral. And then vibrio. So vibrio is comma shaped. So how do you write a comma? So this is how you write. So this is vibrio shaped. And then spirillum. Okay, so spirillum is basically your spiral. So these are the 4 main shapes of your bacteria. So here I have a picture showing all the 4. So based on the shape, you have bacterial family. So you say bacillus family of bacteria, you say coccus family of bacteria. Okay, so coccus. So coccus and bacillus put together is coccobacillus. Okay, then you have vibrio, then you have spirillum, then spirochete is more spiraled, more coiled, and then finally you have pleuronymonic. They can acquire any shape ever. It's not that they have a defined shape, they can have any shape. Okay, so that is pleuronymonic. Fine. So is this clear? Okay. So now let me not talk about the prokaryotic cell because in first lecture it will be too much. So we are talking a lot about so many concepts in the first lecture, but this is just a pictorial slide. So where it shows the prokaryotic world. For example, your bacteria falls in your prokaryotic world. Then you have your blue-green algae. Then you have your mycoplasma. And finally, I have a GIF which shows all your prokaryotic cells. Okay, so this is the prokaryotic world. And join with me. So we'll talk about more about your prokaryotic world and your eukaryotic world. Fine. So I'm not going with the prokaryotic cell right now. Okay, so let's stop here because this is the first lecture. Let's not saturate us because we have to love biology, right? So if I saturate you on a Saturday evening, so then it is hard on my part. Okay, yes. So join with me for more lectures, more stories about the life on earth, and that is biology. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe my video. And I want to meet you every day. So here we'll talk about biology. So download the eCareerPoint app so that you have a structured course, and also you can find my PPT there. Fine. Okay, so last not the least, so have a happy Sunday. So make sure that you don't forget how to smile and how to be happy. Okay, so this is me signing off, but promise me you'll all be back, and I promise you I won't disappoint you for the next lecture. Fine. So this is me signing off. Bye bye. Take care.